Hi, hope you are well. I never know what to say at the start of a video. It's really funny. Like, hi, hope you're well, hope you're okay. But yeah, I really do hope you're well. And I hope that you enjoyed my last video on expectations. Yeah, today I'm going to talk about, if I'm honest with you, I've been procrastinating a little bit with this video because I knew it wasn't going to be easy to film or talk about, and it's about panic attacks. Someone asked me to talk about it and I was really glad because I need to talk about it, I think we should talk about it, but also it's just really difficult to talk about because it's not exactly the nicest thing or the easiest thing to talk about. Sorry, mind me for a second. So yeah, where do I start? Panic attacks are basically a build up of emotions and worries. I mean, I'm probably making it really simplistic here, but a build up of a build up of worries and feelings, and it's more like it's really something that's hard to explain actually, because it just builds and builds and builds and builds and then just there it is. But I would say personally for me it starts from anxiety and it just builds and builds and then just goes, ah, that's the panic attack there, full-blown panic attack. But yeah, for me that's just how it is. But I'm going to explain how they've come about for me and what my first one and how what happened and everything. But for me it was just like a major build up and not kind of really dealing with the build up as it happened, and just allowed it to just build and get out of control. And that's why I assign anxiety as the start of it, because that's literally what it is. Like, you worry and you add another worry and you add another worry on top, and it just becomes more of a dangerous feeling, and then bang, there you go. But for me, I've always had anxiety, and I've always kind of had that thing where when I'm really worried, my breathing gets really out of control. And I remember, well, having to do things like I would cover my mouth and steady my breathing. So it wasn't a full-blown panic attack that time, but I was at the tip of it. So at that point, I never knew what a panic attack was for years, but I used to kind of what's the word, self-care, of lack of a better word, by holding my hands over my face or a blanket or something just to steady my breathing. But at the time I never knew that was something that you could do to help with a panic attack, and I'll get to that. But my first real full-blown horrible panic attack, sorry, I'm looking down because I've got some things written down because I want to make sure I do this properly, was when I was having a real hard time at work, a real stressful time. I won't go into too much, but I was basically being bullied by my boss. If you want me to talk about that one day, I will. And I had major anxiety at this workplace. He used to, in meetings when no one was around, he used to say snide things like, "Don't look at me like that," and I wasn't even looking at him. And it's just, he just went on a real power trip, and I wasn't afraid of him in terms of, you know, like, oh, he's going to hurt me, but I was just afraid of his attitude and his anger towards me, and he just had this horrible tone with me all the time. He just didn't like me, went out of his way to make me feel uncomfortable and laugh at me and belittle me. And this is a place that I'm going to every day, and I'm just trying to, and I'm doing everything I can. I'm working late, I'm working early, I'm doing everything, and I could not make this man happy. And then one day it just kind of, I just hit a wall with it. And I remember being on the train, on the tube home, and I just had this build up, like I already felt really anxious, and it just built and built. And all of a sudden my breathing just got really, I just felt like I couldn't breathe. And at the time I thought it was a heart attack, because, oh my God, I'm having a heart attack. My heart was going, I just couldn't get control of myself. I felt dizzy, I felt like I was gonna faint. I started to shiver, I felt hot, horrible. And I remember calling my auntie at the time and saying, I'm having a heart attack, I think. I'm having a heart attack. And she said, right, stay where you are, I'm coming. And by the time she got to me, I think it was knowing that she was coming, I started to slowly come down. So when she got there, I said, I really feel like I was having a heart attack. And she said, no, that's a panic attack. And that was the first time I'd ever heard panic attack, or what a panic attack was. And I said, oh my God, I really thought this was a heart attack. I thought I was in danger, which is what you feel like. You feel like this is it, something's going majorly wrong here. And yeah, that was my first introduction to a panic attack. And I have to say, I don't get them all the time, thankfully, but I definitely had more of them after that. I remember the second time was when I was at a really stressful event. It actually was to do with this horrible boss, and I just felt awful. Again, it got like that, but this time it was absolutely worse. Can't even explain. It was just absolutely worse and out of control. I remember putting my head down on my legs, and I was just like holding kind of this anxious feeling in. And as soon as I got up, I was just like it's really hard to explain, but my legs went to jelly, my arms and my body seized up literally like this. And luckily I had two friends with me, and my hands went white. Apparently I went literally kind of white as a ghost. And in the end, an ambulance was called, and my heart rate went through the roof. It was all really, really dangerous. They did what they could to try and calm me down, but it just wasn't happening. I just kept going into spasms. And this is the really, really dangerous side of panic attacks, because I know they say panic attacks can't hurt you. And if I got through it in the end and didn't end up going to hospital, but they were literally at the tip of not taking me, of taking me if I had not come down. And I remember it took at least half an hour, probably longer, but I've still got the paperwork from these panic attacks. They give you, when an ambulance gets called, they give you like paperwork to say what happened and what they did and everything. And my heart rate was just absolutely over what it should have been. All my stats were everywhere basically, and they just wanted me to calm down, and it just wasn't happening. And they did try to trick me by saying little things like, tell me about your mum, tell me about your sister, tell me about, trying to take my mind off the current feeling of danger that I had. And in ways it would work, and then all of a sudden, in moments where, say for example, I don't know, there's like a ball, and a little hole, there's a little hole, and for that moment, while I'm talking about my mum and my sister, it starts to form and take shape again. But in the moment that we stop doing it, a hole forms, and the panic gets back in, and off we go again. It was literally like that until, I can't even tell you how I came down from that, but I did. And I'm just grateful, because it was horrible. I wouldn't wish it on anyone, and I've never seen a panic attack or like that since, and I've never experienced one like that since. I won't go through all my panic attacks, but I have had them since then. And yeah, anybody watching this that's experienced one will know how dangerous it feels at the time, and how out of control of your body that you feel at the time. And I think that's what's most scary, because you don't get it. You're like, this is all happening to me, and I can't get to the point of it, get to why, my thoughts and feelings are just getting out of control, and I can't fix it. I can't come down, because the more dangerous it feels, the more panicked I feel, and the more scared I feel. So it just builds and builds and builds momentum. But some of the things that have helped me are things like it's again, like I said to you before, I'm not sure if this is recommended, but it does help me to kind of slow my breathing. They do say actually you can get a paper bag and blow into it, which I know does help a lot of people, because it slows down your breathing, it steadies it, and it gives it kind of measure. I've never done that, but I can imagine how it works, because when I do the thing with the blanket, or even, you know, like for example, you know, just taking a bit of tissue and sort of breathing in it, that can slow your breathing down. You know, doing that steady rhythm of breathing can really make a difference. Another thing that helps is to lie on the floor, because that grounds you and gets you to sort of stop. Because when you're having a panic attack, depending on if it's one like the first one I had, where it was bad, but I guess an ambulance didn't have to come out, so I probably would have benefited from doing lying on the ground, just slowing my breathing down, closing my eyes. That wouldn't have worked in the instance of the ambulance, where it was just getting to a really dangerous point with my heart rate and everything. So you can try different things. Other things that I do to slow down a panic attack is to try and be still, try and still be still as possible, which I know is really, it feels impossible when you're having a panic attack. So I remember the last real bad one I had, I went outside and it was freezing, it was winter, it was snowing loads, and I remember just getting really hot, and I was having problems with my blood pressure at this point because of how bad my anxiety was. I remember getting really hot and going outside into the snow and still feeling really hot. So I went upstairs, went to the bathroom, and I think I ended up being sick. I lay on the floor and that calmed me down a lot, and then I managed to get back into my bedroom, and I ended up, you know, just slowing down my breathing and feeling okay again. But it's so exhausting, if anybody knows, and that's what you've got to kind of educate people around you about. You know, you can't just jump up and be recovered again. It takes a lot out of you, and you will probably have the best sleep afterwards, because your body and your system has just gone through the most. So yeah, if just take a seat, lie down. If you can reassure yourself that you are safe and that you are going to be okay, that is the best thing that you can do as well, because panic attacks generally are not dangerous at all. They're really not. And I know they feel like a heart attack, and I remember that feeling of, oh my God, what the hell is this? This is a heart attack. It's not. So just keep reassuring yourself that you are going to be okay, and that is temporary, and that you've done it before, and that you can get through it again. Just remind yourself of this. I'm looking at my notes because I want to make sure that I tell you everything that I can, and you know, just speak to the anxiety that's powering the panic attack, and take the power away from it by, again, reassuring yourself that you're going to be okay, and that there's nothing to be afraid of, and that your thoughts are just trying to scare you, and they're not, and that they're telling you lies. The other one is, like I said, to move, try and walk, try and get some air, pace. I mean, that's one thing I remember doing a lot, and due to my anxiety I pace a lot, but I never knew that was I was doing it consciously as a coping mechanism for my anxiety. It was just that's what I did. And as soon as I realized about as soon as I realized that anxiety, panic attacks, depression, all that kind of thing was a thing, I realized that I developed my own coping mechanisms to cope with them, which is a good thing, I guess. But it would have been good to know that that's what I was dealing with, and that's what I was suffering from. I didn't for many years. Another one is, like I might have said this already, but talk to your anxiety. The more it's held in, the more that it has power. So, like for example, what I was saying to you about the time where the ambulance had to come out and they were talking to me and saying, you know, trying to trick me from focusing on how horrible I felt and the danger that I was feeling. Talk to your anxiety, say aloud, you know, what you're thinking, what the anxiety might be saying to you, and kind of go back at it with truth. Like, I'm okay, actually, I'm going to be fine. This is not true. I am safe. You are not going to win. You are not going to hurt me. If you can manage to do that, you will take a lot of power away from that panic attack. And another one is to breathe. Take some real deep breaths in and out, and be really careful with that, because sometimes that can, you know, re-trigger your anxiety, because that, you know, the lack of you know, the shallow breathing is what is causing some of the panic attack. The fact, you know, the fact that you can't feel that you can breathe in the first place is part of it. So again, like I said, if you can take a little bit of tissue and just breathe into that. Really slowly, that can help to steady the flow of your breathing. The paper bag thing, I'm not sure how much of that is encouraged, but I know it's been used as a coping thing in the past. I prefer this, as I don't really like the idea of the thing blowing open, and yeah, just no. And just know that you can get through it, and if you've had one before, know that you can get through it again. You've done it before, you know you have, and you know that its power over you is temporary. So in fact, you are absolutely amazing, and you are strong, and you are resilient, and you are powerful, because panic attacks are so horrible and so you know, disarming at the time that you're having them. And it can make you feel that you're weak and you have no control of yourself. But the truth is that you do, because you make it through and you get through it and you feel okay again at some point. So remember that when you are going through it or after, because you can recover. And this is the thing, this is not a video to say, you know, heal panic attacks. How you can stop panic attacks from ever happening, because that's not reality. If you have really bad anxiety, panic attacks will and can happen. It's just how you manage them. It's just how you self-care. It's what you do in the meantime. I mean, for me, the reason why I feel like I haven't had one in a while is because I self-care a lot. I stay away from things that trigger me. I switch off the news. If I see a horrible story on social media, I don't read it. I'm really, really stringent on what I allow into my life now. If there's something stressful coming up, I will kind of pre-talk to myself and say, it's going to be fine. There'll always be a choice in what you can do. Even if it feels horrible at the time, you can get through this. You will get through this. There is always a way. There's always a way through it. And that's literally how I manage. It's never the end of the world. It never really is. It really isn't. And so if you can have that self-talk, because that is everything, because anxiety, a lot of it is our self-talk, where we're just telling ourselves, it's going to be the worst thing in the world. I'm horrible. I'm the worst person on earth. This is the worst thing that's going to happen. It's going to happen to me. You're just going on yourself, and it's not, it's horrible. And it's hard to stop. So the best thing you can do is improve your self-talk and remind yourself how amazing you are, and how strong you are, and how resilient you are, and how many times you bounce back every time this happens to you, and just take the power away from the panic attack. But yeah, that's it. I will also put in the description bar below any other information that I have on panic attacks which I feel might help. But I really hope that this video has been helpful to you. And yeah, let's just get through it together. We are all in this together, and Yeah, thank you for all your lovely comments and encouragement, and please do let me know if there's any subjects that you'd like me to talk about. I would be happy to. And yeah, have a good day and take care. Bye.